joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Sick of being upsold at gyms?
My guy, you're currently a base member? For $90 more, I can upgrade you to our Shred membership. For $130 more, you'll be a Swole member. And for just $300 more, you'll reach Sweat Platinum.
At Planet Fitness, you'll get energy without the upsell. Never pushy, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. It's fitness that fits your budget. Join Planet Fitness for just $1 down and $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, April 12th. See Home Club for details.
Looking for a job that feels like family? Join Lincoln Industries, where tradition meets innovation. They're a family-owned, privately held manufacturing company with a passion for excellence and a commitment to their community. They have openings on all shifts at both the main plant and air park facilities, offering flexibility to fit your schedule. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's a place for you there. At Lincoln Industries, they invest in their people's success, providing opportunities for growth and advancement. Apply now and become a part of something special at Lincoln Industries. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves them, that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. Again, DP is out in the great city of San Diego with the Omaha Supernovas. He will be on the call tonight. Pre-game shows at 8 p.m. And then obviously first serve is at 9 p.m. So be sure to listen not only live on our airways, but also on the stream. We are Old School, brought to you by the Mercado, Certified Piedmontese, Special Ingredients and Butcher Shop, 2 Lincoln locations, 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill. A lot going on. Obviously, we'll cover the 2 grade 8 games last night on the women's side. We'll talk about Nebraska. We'll dive into a little bit more. I guess, in my opinion, Nebraska transfer portal for the men's side. But then we'll take a deep dive or talk a little bit more. And we want you guys' opinion on the text line. Spring football. Obviously this is the beginning of the second week. It's a very odd type of, I guess spring, because the spring game is a lot later than it usually is. And then, you have your first, 2 or 3 practices, and then you got, Easter holiday, which is extremely early this year, or earlier than it usually is. So trying to get your spring football clock started, and what it's like in that second week, and what you want to see by the end of the second week. And if I was a player, I guess we'll go through like my first spring being a redshirt freshman, or after my redshirt year, and then let's say my spring, maybe after my redshirt sophomore year before the 97, and how it all changes. Because I think your mindset changes, and and it's a different type of mentality, but it all hopefully goes in the right direction. But we have a quick segment before we get back on the clock. We want to thank obviously Strick, for his crossover. It's always good picking his brain about what it's like to be in, everything's kind of the same, but then also his great view on sports, but then also basketball as well, because I think he's looking at it from all angles. One, from a college athlete, from a mentor side, a scouting side, even a coaching side, and then there's a professional side. And that's the great thing about having guys like Strick on the airwaves, because he's able to give you an unbiased opinion, even though he bleeds Husker red. He can see, way down the road. But with the quick segment, without I would not, be able to, I guess be in the right mind frame to want to give, condolences to the Davis family. Vernon Davis. I've been knowing Vernon for as long as I can remember. And then his brother Vontae, unfortunately passed away at the age of 35, man. There's guys still playing at 35. I think Patrick Peterson is still playing. He's got to be close to 35 or over. Crazy thing. And this is how crucial and how fragile life is. Everybody knows that obviously the ticket, we were really blessed to go down and cover the Super Bowl. So me and Jake Sorensen, got to, be brothers for a week on the road. Look, if you ever want to know if you like somebody, you travel with them for a week. We went down to Las Vegas and covered the Super Bowl, and in our hotel, after a long day of, from 11 to 6 p.m., we went and got something to eat. And here comes Vernon Davis in. So me and Vernon's played together in San Francisco, but I've been knowing Vernon forever. All my family, my dad's side is from Frederick, Maryland. Vernon's obviously from Maryland. Obviously, great career, Maryland and obviously NFL. And I hadn't seen him. I'd kind of exchanged text messages and stuff, but hadn't really, not even expected. I probably should have known he was going to be there, but wasn't expecting to be in our hotel. You saw him, got to, we talked for 20, 30 minutes. Didn't ask him about Vontae, but just because of my relationship with Vernon. And then next thing you know, I feel for him, man. Just for the simple fact that that's his brother. Vontae is always, from what I've been told, and the one time that I got to meet a great dude, always had there's always these guys that are on the team that have just beaming like personalities, always like positive, has that smile. Still don't know what happened, assuming if he's anything like Vernon, he's in great shape, and they didn't rule out any foul play. So hopefully it wasn't anything that, was impulsive, but either way, you're still at the same conclusion. So feeling you want to show, some condolences for the, Davis family and everybody that's associated with them that played with them. You got to think to be these guys that were teammates with him. Every locker room that he's been in, you see all the stuff on social media. He definitely, touched a lot of people. And it's just unfortunate. NFL family got, sometimes you just got guys that pass away at an early age, and he's one of them. It sucks. And, that's just part, I guess it's part of life, but just, you never think on a Monday or Tuesday, that's something that would happen. So that's our first quick segment. And then we'll come back. We'll talk a little women's college basketball. We're going to spend the whole 5 o'clock hour majority of the 5 o'clock hour on spring football, because I think that's important. So text line, load us up with questions, what you expect out of spring ball, who you would like to see step up. And what's going to be really interesting, Austin, is what early enrollees besides the known, say the two quarterbacks, they're going to make an impact, because I think there's opportunity there, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. So we'll take a quick break, come back. I'll talk about Caitlin Clark, LSU. We'll talk about UConn. It was able to stymie Juju Watkins last night and make another Final Four. And will this be UConn's greatest run if they're able to complete this championship run that they've been on under the radar, in the back door? Nevertheless, still a championship mentality up there in Storrs, Connecticut. But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. Old School, Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Sick of being upsold at gyms?
My guy, you're currently a base member? For $90 more, I can upgrade you to our Shred membership. For $130 more, you'll be a Swole member. And for just $300 more, you'll reach Sweat Platinum.
At Planet Fitness, you'll get energy without the upsell. Never pushy, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. It's fitness that fits your budget. Join Planet Fitness for just $1 down and $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, April 12th. See Home Club for details.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road. Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through April 2nd is buy one, get one free on 8-ounce flat iron steaks. Limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through April 7th, enjoy USDA Choice 8-ounce New York strips for $6.99 each, hickory smoked bacon for $4.99 per pound, fresh boneless, skinless chicken breast for $2.99 per pound, and whole tri-tip for $9.99 per pound. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beers, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Back to old school with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on time. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school. A little recap of the great 8 for the on the women's side last night. Obviously, it goes without saying, Caitlin Clark more than stepped her game up. A little revenge was on her mind, and revenge is what she got. And it was a display of offensive basketball that we talked about. I felt like LSU was not really ready for. I think LSU, I felt like everything lined. I'm not taking anything away from them. I think it lined up well for them last year, where Iowa upset South Carolina. But South Carolina beat Iowa up a little bit. LSU came in on the back end and was able to finish them off. But then I think what we've always talked about sometimes around here and place, you see it even in the NFL. That's why it's so hard to repeat, is how you deal with success, more opportunity, and more expectations. And I think LSU was just missing that little ingredient. You know, the offseason was very hard for them. Some of it was self-inflicted. Some of it was just, media driven and all this other stuff. And Iowa was on a mission, even though I felt like LSU was probably a little bit more talented. I felt like Iowa was the better team, and Caitlin Clark was able to get them through to the Final Four. And it was definitely impressive on her part. And there was no let up.
There absolutely was not, and Iowa couldn't afford that, right? I mean, they came in on a mission, like
Right.
you're saying. I didn't understand what LSU was doing defensively.
I didn't
Like,
either.
Clark is really good, but you're just going to tell Haley Van Lith, we're taking the ball out of your hands so you can go play more defense.
Yeah.
You know, she's that much shorter, and clearly Clark's more athletic than her.
And bigger.
Bigger, faster, stronger, all
yeah.
of it. I did not understand. I mean, Iowa's offense is good, right?
Yeah.
They hit their shots, but they got a lot of easy shots.
Yeah.
And a lot of open shots. So it only ended up a 7-point game. It did not feel like a 7-point game. I thought Iowa was pretty much in control of that game.
Yeah, I felt like Mulkey got outcoached, outwitted. I just felt like it was almost like Mulkey just did the easy thing. Right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there was no adjustment. There was no triangle into, no box and one, no zone.
Not a lot of critical thinking.
Nothing to kind of keep Iowa off balance. It was like Iowa was just able to which probably caught Iowa a little bit. But I think Iowa at the point where the game got close, they were expecting something from LSU that they hadn't done, and they'd never changed.
Right.
And so, look, as great as Caitlin Clark was, you're going to get she will, like, when she's hitting like that, essentially 9 of 20 from 3, and then obviously everything else, she will destroy. Iowa would destroy you if you do that. And to me, you could talk about Angel Reese and all this other stuff, and that's where their power inside, and then they're able to play inside out and would to their strength. You didn't make Caitlin Clark play defense. You didn't wear her out anyway. You didn't take them off rhythm. They were playing in the shot clock every single possession like they wanted. They never felt threatened by you, even though the game was a lot closer. And I felt like Kim Mulkey just got outcoached. And sometimes when you're maybe have some stuff going on outside of the court, you can let your ego get in the way of you coaching in the moment. And this is not Kim Mulkey's a Hall of Fame player first and foremost. She's a Hall of Fame coach. She's one of the greatest women coaches of all time. But that doesn't mean you're immune to mistakes. And I felt like it was a mistake on her part. But you also just want to give all the credit to Iowa that they came in and had to deal with expectations all year. The weight of college basketball, if it wasn't on LSU in their situation and their big personalities, it definitely was on Caitlin Clark to carry the torch, and she's done nothing but answer the bell, even with her antics that are they're old. But you know what? When you light somebody up for 41 points, you can kind of get away with it.
Iowa gets back to the Final Four. They'll play UConn, which I know we'll get to them in a second. But if you, Coach Jay Foreman, are playing against Caitlin Clark, what do you take away? What do you make her do that she's not used to doing?
You know what I'm doing with her? I'm making her play defense. Number one, I'm going to force her to play defense.
Hit by screens.
And I'm trying to get her in situations where she gets in a little bit of foul trouble. And I want her to be focusing on, how dare you call a foul on me? That's number one. Number two, I'm going to make her and force her go left into the middle of the lane because that's not what. So she does really, really well getting to her right hand, getting into you, and she can finish in an array of ways. She's really good with her pull up going right. And I'm making her accept the screen. So I'm playing over top everything you talked about with Van Leeth, where she went under a lot. Yeah, she got there because she's quick to get. No, I'm being your hip pocket. And I'm also going to send a lot of different body types at you as well. And then I'll play a little bit of zone, play a little bit of man. I'll do matchup zone. I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at her, because I think if I can slow her down and frustrate her, cut the head off the snake per se, the body will follow.
I think there's a fine line too between the frustrate and the motivate, because these great players can flip that switch.
Sure.
Where, I mean, you think about Patrick Mahomes doing the countdown on his fingers against the Bears, with Trubisky being taken ahead of him. I think it's very well known that Caitlin Clark does get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
That the biggest thing she's had to work on isn't related to her game; it's her mindset and her attitude.
Right.
Are you wasting a foul or two early trying to send a message to Caitlin Clark, or is that maybe more motivating?
Oh no, I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna do. I'm here to win the game, so I'm pulling out all stops. Mm-hmm. This is not personal; it's business. And yes, if you come down the lane, I'm gonna touch you, and I'm gonna make sure when you come down the lane, you're gonna feel it every single time. Every time that you're on defense, I'm setting a pick on you. I'm making you feel it. And that's what you have to do. And I think that LSU just dropped the ball and did it. But I can tell you right now, when I watch UConn, it's kind of been like they've kind of been off the map a couple of years, because South Carolina's been whooping their butt and South Carolina's been doing it. And then you have LSU, then you have Iowa. So they haven't been the belle of the ball per se.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's perfectly personified by Paige Beckers.
It is.
Who top recruit maybe of all time, one of them coming out of Minnesota,
represent,
and then she gets hurt. Like, I have heard so little about Paige Beckers. Come to find out, her numbers are phenomenal, and she's so versatile.
Yeah, and that's you're looking at Caitlin Clark before her, and if she went to Iowa or a university where she had that free will, she would be breaking all those records. She was flat out unstoppable, and she moved from Eden Prairie to Bloomington, and she was must-see, TV all the way from her freshman year, kind of like Britt Prince, you know what I mean? But she has the game. And so, but I think she's finally healthy. I think mentally she's in a really good place. I think it took her probably a season and a half to get over her injury, and I think she's looking forward to the challenge. I think she had a little bit of a first look at what it's like at a really good score, even though Juju Watkins is a different type of scorer than Caitlin Clark, and she had no problem accepting the challenge on both ends of the floor. And I think Gino will have a plan and this is an offense and defensive plan to give Caitlin Clark and Iowa some problems. This is the biggest challenge besides South Carolina. And I felt South Carolina, it was a physical, just the brute force inside.
Mm-hmm.
This is differently. You're going to face physical, well-coached, well-managed team that's going to play their game, and they're not going to play to your strengths. And that's what LSU did. UConn will not.
If UConn finds a way to win 2 more games in a row, it would feel very 2022 Golden State Warriors-esque.
Yep.
To me,
it'll be just like this year with Kansas City Chiefs,
or that,
right?
Exactly.
Oh, you guys want to trick off a champion? Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take it.
Yep.
We're back on track.
You're up, and Paige is coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
Count us in for a champion. Count us in again. And that's where you're in trouble. I do think South Carolina is the best team. They'll win. I think they'll win. But I think UConn is gonna beat Iowa.
UConn is so used to being hunted that you gave them a chance to be the hunter.
And that's the problem.
And it's different because you can see, in your Mulkey example, where maybe she did let her ego get in the way.
Yeah.
I don't think Gino Auriemma, of any women's college basketball coach ever, deserves to have an ego.
Oh, and he does.
He does, but he shows it differently, right?
Yeah.
Gino's going to flex. He's going to say, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get my team ready, prepared. We're going to have the best game plan. Whereas Mulkey's going to be up there talking. Bluter's going to be throwing a fit after the press conference doesn't go exactly her way.
Yeah.
I think Auriemma and Staley are the 2 best coaches left in the field. I think they have been all along.
Right.
Whereas South Carolina is the hot thing, and Iowa is kind of on its revenge redemption tour with the best player in the sport. I think giving such a good coach as Auriemma a chance to be overlooked is dangerous.
Oh, it's real dangerous. And trust me, he's got the attention of his team, and he knows that Caitlin Clark's going to try to come in and be focused because he didn't recruit her.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to bet that's part of Caitlin Clark's one of the best players to ever play college basketball, especially on the women's side. But, obviously in this last few years, college basketball period. But she comes with some stuff that necessarily wouldn't fit into Connecticut's program.
Mhm.
And that's what you see, the constant bickering, the constant, it's all about me and all this. That just, he hasn't had to deal with it.
Mm-mm.
And this is what people don't understand. The perfect fit for Caitlin Clark is Iowa.
Mhm.
Iowa needed Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark needed Iowa. And that's how you get to where you're at right now. It worked out for everybody.
Mhm.
Yes, you're going to be motivated. I was extremely motivated by the University of Minnesota not recruiting me. I will tell you, the same coach is Kevin Sumlin. He came and had disrespected I've never heard my dad talk to somebody like I have. Now it's different. A coach like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I think my dad was cussing out Kevin Sumlin, and the phone had already been hung up because he was talking at the phone, literally talking at the phone, and I was just watching it. But so you're gonna get motivated, but I think motivated for the right reasons, and you have to be motivated not only for yourself but for the team.
Mhm.
And there's a fine difference between that. Motivated saying I'm gonna show a coach up but still lose is one way. That doesn't do anything. Motivated to show a coach up that you're in the right spot and you beat them is the ultimate get back. And that's what's going to be the difference of managing that. And also you got to think, for any coach that beats Staley or Gino, they're looking for a leg up as well. Do you get out of your own way and just coach to win the game, or are you coaching for the win for yourself? And you have to, and that's why it's hard to win these games, because you can see the end, right? National champion, get to the championship game, beat Coach Staley, beats Gino. You can see that. But if you don't handle your business beforehand, you will end up finding your way. You're finding yourself like USC did last night.
Right.
You're like, whoa, this game's over. As much as you had the hype going into the game ends very quickly. So these next 4 or 5 days on the men's and women's side is going to tell it all. But, last night I felt like it was a lot of great basketball. Caitlin Clark obviously lived up to the expectations. So with our expectations, we're going to take a quick break, come back, have a quick segment, and then we're going to jump into this thing that we call spring football and see what everybody says. And for John and Cortland, we'll get to your text. Kip will get to your text as well. Same with Bama Fan and Lincoln. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through April 2nd is buy one, get one free on 8-ounce flat iron steaks. Limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Sick of being upsold at gyms?
My guy, you're currently a base member? For $90 more, I can upgrade you to our Shred membership. For $130 more, you'll be a Swole member. And for just $300 more, you'll reach Sweat Platinum.
At Planet Fitness, you'll get energy without the upsell. Never pushy, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. It's fitness that fits your budget. Join Planet Fitness for just $1 down and $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, April 12th. See Home Club for details.
Hi, folks. Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and the Chevrolet and GMC Truck Month is now underway. We've got huge savings in Louisville. Get $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months on select models. Yes, you heard right. That's $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months happening right now at Koppel. So take that short money saving drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit. Stock number G214773.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today: some clouds this morning will give way to sunshine this afternoon. It'll be breezy, an afternoon high around 55. Tonight, mainly clear and breezy, an overnight low around 33. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies and more wind, with an afternoon high around 54. Meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular price athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln. Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
I think about all the infrastructure that got built up behind the scenes by Coach Osborne, that Coach Solich took over, and then some of that infrastructure was eroded. Matt Rule still has to prove this, but I think Matt Rule's style is that, yeah, he'd like the infrastructure in place, but I think Matt Rule has the personality to do everything in his power to bend it to the way he wants it.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Early break with Sip and Jake.
I'd like to have my fun maybe more like on like a Tuesday, like in February or something. Let's see if I can pull a prank on somebody.
Yeah,
but not on
it's
prank
like
day.
it's total amateur hour.
Yeah, it's just like National Prank Day. Yeah.
Yeah, I do got a little announcement to make.
What's that? Oh, wait, breaking news?
I won't be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday.
Whoa! What, kitty? This
April Fools.
Oh, he got it. He got that's actually well done. It's so good.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. Back to old school with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school. Quick segment here. Get some text. John and Cortland. He said Vernon V-Jack was an animal and devastated safeties, abused corners, and as a linebacker, likely made him smile. But guess where the ball went? They straight up, man. Vernon was a good dude. He still is a good dude. Just unfortunate for him.
He's one of the first tight ends I really remember.
Yeah, because he killed it at the combine. Well, like 255 pounds and ran like a 4.3.
It's insane. The tight ends I remember growing up are Vernon Davis and Antonio Gates. Those are the first 2 guys I remember really knowing at tight end.
Yeah, and Vernon Davis took a little bit time to mature, but once he did, man, he became a captain and a great player. He was fortunate enough to go back to DC and play at hometown and play for a few years and end his career like he wanted. Another text from Kip. He said he heard me and Strick talk about what it seems like for you guys that we had great parental figures that kept your head focused on the right direction. He asked if he was wrong or something missing. I think that's a part of it, but we also had good support, and then that support just didn't stop with our parents but we had good teammates around us and people that had sound mind and advice to kind of keep us on the right path. So I think it takes a village to like I say, raise a child. It does it, and the same thing in football, basketball, baseball or any sports you're playing. You got to have good teammates around you and understand that the situation sometimes could be bigger than you, and patience sometimes is a virtue, especially if you're willing to earn it. And I've talked extensively, about some of the coaches around here in the high school level that just are not willing to accept younger kids that are ready to play at a higher level. That's how you lose players, and you eventually lose a program. And that is 100% factual. So, look, they're in the portal. Hopefully they have the option to come back, and they do come back. But if they don't, you wish them the best. It's not like the Scarlet's letter anymore when you go in the portal. And that's the way the portal started. It was an easy way to go and find somewhere else. I think I will say this before we go to break. I do think our young athletes like getting recruited a lot more than they do playing. Overall, a general statement. Not everyone, but in general. I think it's
well, who doesn't like attention? Who doesn't like being catered to?
Yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, the best way for all that thing that you like is to play well. And that's your best NIL. I would look at it like if I came in as a freshman, and we'll get into this because this is a little bit more of a spring, it go right into spring ball. If I was a freshman and say, you had your NIL deal because you're a freshman coming in, say I was a high 3-star recruit, maybe 4, you have your first initial package, I'm cool with that, right? Okay. I'm not trying to, knock you over the head. Now, if you let me knock you over the head, I will, but then I'm still have the same mentality. But if I live up to my expectations, which should be higher than yours, right? Because your personal expectations should be higher, and I exceed them, you will see me again. And that's my best NIL. And that's my best negotiation tactic, because I can say, turn on that tape. I've done this off the field. I'm this type of leader in the locker room. I'm this productive player. I believe in you. Do you believe in me? And you know what? I would feel and hope that whoever you're talking to about NIL would feel the same. Now, if that's not the same and I have all those things in my corner, well, then that's you're losing all those things legitimately. This is on the football side. And it might not necessarily be about money. It might be like, okay, maybe I want to go from 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom apartment. Whatever the deals are, you'd like to be able to upgrade a little bit based on you upgrading your personal contribution to the program.
It's not about upgrading for the sake of upgrading. It's about upgrading because you've earned it, or you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
One of the two. Because, again, there are all sorts of personal reasons people might want to transfer. But I think especially for those mid-major to high major, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, those transfers, I've done everything I can at this level. Let me go test myself against the best.
Right.
Or say you're a Power 5 backup. The next step up is, okay, can I go be a Power 5 starter?
Yeah.
Somewhere, right? To me, you should always be trying to transfer up for a bigger challenge, whether the challenge is more of a role or the challenge is tougher competition.
Or if you want to go down to get back up. Sure. Because you're at the quarterback position. Say you're third on the depth chart, and the guy that's starting is a redshirt freshman. The guy behind him is a true freshman. It don't look like you're going to get out there, right? But then you need to go down to get back up. And you've seen that happen. There's a lot of guys that do that, and they come, they end up at the same spot that they would have been if they waited, but they come to the new spot.
Stetson Bennett.
Right. And they come to the new spot with tangible tape, confidence, and reps. And that, and sometimes if you have a plan that works, we got this. I'll read this funny text before we go to break. He must be in reference of like getting recruited versus playing. He says, I like going to the strip club, but I don't really like getting married. I guess a great analogy. It never crossed my mind to think about that. I do not like going to strip clubs. So anyways, we're going to take a quick break. Old school. We're going to dive into spring football, the different times of when I was a Husker, what it was like going into spring football. And then maybe, help you evaluate some of the players. And also text line, I want you guys to, besides the known guys, what do you want to see out of spring ball? What would you like to hear, or what are your wants out of spring ball to make you feel better about this upcoming season that is so far away, but coming up so quickly? Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation, Lee or Lacey or Judson will make an appointment. You pick the time and they'll be there to fix your sprinkler system. Now that's service, a dying art these days.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through April 2nd is buy one, get one free on 8-ounce flat iron steaks, limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Broadcasting veteran Derek Pearson.
When you find something that moves them, that makes them smile, celebrate it. That's your task. That's your superpower.
Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, 5 o'clock hour? Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We are live at 1040 O Street. We are brought to you by the Mercado, Certified Piedmontese, Special Ingredients and Butcher Shop, 84th and Havelock, 33 Yankee Hill, 2 Lincoln locations. And now we finally get into it. Spring football. I think they've had maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 practices already. Spring football is just, I think it's like different stages of where you're at in your Husker career. Now, we just talked about the transfer portal. I don't think, just in general, these kids don't go think about staying at some place for 5 years or 4 years, right? None of these kids come out of high school and think they're going to redshirt. So they think they're going somewhere for, a lot of these kids think they're just stopping over at college and going to the pros. So they think it's a 3-year deal, actually 2.5 years if you really are that good. Let's just say 4 years. I just think, your first year you come in and say you redshirt. And so it's like starting your first season all over again, because I could just only go from my perspective. When I got here, they had just lost to Florida State in the national championship, got hosed, unfinished business. The team was set. They didn't need Jay Foreman to do anything besides get bigger, faster, and stronger and see if I could play.
Did you have any idea what sort of environment you were walking into, watching 93 unfold?
Negative. I didn't know much about Nebraska. I knew about Nebraska, but didn't really consider Nebraska because, to be honest with you, they weren't considering me. So, my first offer was from the University of Miami. Obviously, family legacy there, and they offered me early, so I thought I was going to go there. But everything I knew about Nebraska was they're really, a good team, and you'd see them. I even remember, I think Coach Osborne was up for the Giants job, didn't take it. Obviously, was under pressure because he wasn't able to get over the hump. Because I was just watching ESPN. That's the only thing I knew about Nebraska. And they would play, of course, I'd watch the Oklahoma game, Colorado game. But whenever they got to the Orange Bowl, they played a Florida team and get beat. So that's just who Nebraska was. But then, 93 was the year. And so, I got on Nebraska's radar after the game that I had. And this is, now granted, we didn't have 7-on-7. If we did have 7-on-7, it was just local. They didn't have any team camps. I went to one camp, which was the University of Minnesota. It was probably the worst thing I ever did in my life, sports-wise. Or not the worst, but it shouldn't have. Definitely didn't. We didn't have an all-season weight program. We didn't do it. We didn't have all this. And that's just the way it was. And so, I was getting recruited a little bit going for my junior, senior year, but not as much as, after that game against Bloomington when I, showed my stuff a little bit. And then it kind of went to another level. But then Nebraska was having their season. And so obviously I started to pay attention to them with other schools as well. But when I got here, be honest, to be blunt, I was happy to be here. I was like, man, that was my whole thing. My dad told me, I can't pay for you to go to a big school. And so you got to earn it. And I went and earned it. So my whole goal to come down here was to develop into a player to where I'd be playing a lot by my junior, senior year. And that's including redshirting. I knew I needed a red shirt. My dad told me I needed a red shirt. My uncle told me I needed a red shirt. I knew I needed a red shirt because I never lifted weights before. I could play football. I knew the game. I was competitive, but I just physically wasn't developed. And that was not there. I knew that coming in. And so I didn't know what I was getting into. I did not. I knew I could play, and that's all I knew. And all I knew was they were down here. They thought I was funny. I walked funny, had big old feet, and all. Oh, they was just messing with me. That's it, so knock-kneed or whatever it was. I was cool with it. I was, then once I got here, I slowly but surely started to embrace it. Best thing ever happened to me was Clint Brown. I came in, and that was my freshman year. He was a senior backup, and I just kept my mouth shut and played. But, the only thing I had idea of what spring ball would be is coming in during two-a-days. We came in as freshmen, and then the varsity came in, and then it was a whole different level. They were the biggest humans I ever seen. They were muscular. They were fast. They were mean. They were tough. And so I just had to adapt. And the whole freshman year that I got redshirted, I took some L's, but I kept working at it. I got stronger. I got work. I just started to kind of get it going. And I was fortunate enough to where Troy Dumas he got drafted. Clint Brown was a senior. Nobody behind them had established themselves. There was a lot of guys that had way more talent than me. They were more physically developed than me after that freshman year. But where I was able to make up the difference, and this is when you're going into your first spring, was I had a plan. I started to work out more on my own over at the rec center. I started to catch up physically. I studied tape during the football season, right? So not only I didn't go in there and pat everybody on the back, watch the game tape. I was watching my practice tape, and I was watching their practice tape. So I was catching up that way because I knew I had a mind for the game, and I knew I loved football. And so I just dedicated myself to it. But going into that first spring was starting all over again. I'd never not played. You know what I'm saying? I never not played. That's just what all these guys here have never not played. So I went a whole year without playing in the games. I practiced a lot and got my butt kicked a lot. And that's what I ain't do it a lot as well. And so then you're like, okay, well, this is where I can act. I just wanted to prove myself that I belong, right? The two seniors are gone. Did I expect to come out the back end of spring as the starter? Nope. Coach Samuel didn't either. He
probably told you about it.
I'm one of his boys, but he didn't expect it. Listen, this first week that they just had, I probably got about 7 reps. 7. I went a whole practice without any reps. I was hot. I was so mad, Austin. I was so mad. you ever been so mad you were crying? I was so frustrated. I was so mad. I had so much regret. I was like back in the dorms. I'll never forget it. It was on a Saturday, and I was like so mad. I was like punching the pillow, punching it, and I was like almost crying. I was that mad because I didn't get any reps. And the reason I was mad at myself, one, my dad told me I should have probably started lifting weights and running track. I didn't do it. Right? So now I'm mad at myself because I didn't do it. I couldn't see it. Then I'm thinking like, well, all these guys did all this stuff in high school. If I would have done it, I would have been farther along. I didn't get a chance to prove myself. And then, one guy couldn't practice because of grades. Well, then I started to get more reps then. And then I performed. And then one thing started leading to another. And then, but the way you approached your first spring is like none other though. Because that's when you actually get the coaches' same attention, I feel, when you got recruited. Because they get to spend the most time with you, and there's not a game. Right. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when you come in as a freshman, you got, at least we had freshman camp. Okay, kumbaya. Well, now they're playing for keeps. Mm-hmm. So they can't spend as much time with you because they got guys. Now, granted, if you have established yourself for an early enrollee, then you're part of the process. But I wasn't part of the process. So this is the first time they actually get to see if you are what they thought you or hoped you were. A glimpse.
Yeah.
So everybody else was getting reps. Grant, Mike, Jason, Will, everybody was. I was sitting there just watching like, dang. So that's and they get more time because what I used to call group work, which is individual, was a lot longer. It was a lot more taxing. It was a lot more physical. You were able to get more reps and the practices were longer. And so that's why this one is so crucial, because yes, you come in as a freshman during fall camp and you can make an impression. You don't have that much time. You don't.
3 weeks is not enough.
You got to have opportunity. That means either injury or people are gone. And then you got to be ready you got to be physically and mentally. That's the hardest thing to do, because you're going to be going against dudes from Ohio State. They're 23, 24 years old. You're 18, some cases 17. It's hard to do.
It is. So at what point in the process do you get a playbook? As soon as you commit, do they send you one the next day, or how early can you start diving into the playbook to get prepared?
I didn't get the playbook till I got here. Now, I don't know how the rules are now, because they've obviously changed, significantly. So I don't know when they get theirs, but I didn't get mine till I got here. Listen, they sent me, Boyd Eppley and them sent me the off-season workout. That thing ain't never get open. I looked at it, threw it over there, and I just kept looking at the media guys. That's what I like. I like doing that. Just, I was just dumb. And so you get here, and then, but this is the first time you get to, make it an impression. And so that's why this spring ball for a lot of people, even if you played last year, even if you were forced into play, like some of the receivers, right? This is the first spring ball that you can actually start to cement yourself, or actually cement in their mind is like, okay, this is the kid that I recruited for a year and a half, or in this case, the first, recruiting class that we see some potential in. And that's where you can make hay, like I like to say, whether it's your work ethic, whether it's you being a good teammate, whether it's being good in the classroom, both in school and in meetings. And do you have some potential? Have you shown flashes? Can you retain the information? Can you execute? Can you be physical enough? Then you can force the coaches to go back and see some of the things you did in practice last year and see some improvement. That's how you make a name for yourself. And that's why this one is so much different than, say, like when I was a junior or senior, because I knew what it was like. I didn't have the anxiety. I knew when practice was. I knew what it would be like. I knew what the first week is like, which everybody's happy to be out there, right? You just lifting weights and running and all this other stuff. And it's, you could do a lot of wolfing because there's no pads on. Then you get the first couple padded practice, because you get to hit somebody. Well, then your neck is sore. Then your back is sore. Then your head hurts. Well, then you might be looking forward to a practice where you get the spiders on. Well, then when that practice is different than the first one. Why is that different? Is because you have to be able to practice like a pro without the pads on. That means you got to have the same intensity with your footwork. You got to still be violent with your hands. You got to be mentally locked in. Are you a player when things get a little lax? Meaning, if the coach says we need to back off physically, does that mean you back off mentally? See, I think it's the opposite. When you back off physically, I want to see you ramp up mentally. I want you to play with good leverage. I want you to still practice your footwork. I want to see you tag off with two hands on the inside hip. I want to see good play entry. I want to see all that stuff, because that's what's so important to be able to do it. Because if you get down towards the end of the season and you're trying to stay fresh, you got to have the ability to practice. And for this team, like I mentioned yesterday, because we just only had a quick segment before we got off into the women's final, or grade 8, is there's very few positions where you have known characters that, okay, if I had to bet $1 that they'll be out there starting. Very few. You have guys that you probably think you'd like to win the positions, but that doesn't mean that you will. If you haven't had a good offseason, a good winter conditioning, a good start to your spring, their conversations could be a lot different about you.
They absolutely could. And I think there's a number of those guys on Nebraska's teams on both sides of the ball that have been here for a year, maybe two, that shouldn't be surprised by spring ball, even though it is, maybe still newer than what they're used to. But whether you're an offensive guy or a defensive guy, maybe you took your 1 year to ramp up. By year 2, you should know the drill. And then it's that comfort that I think would elevate you, because you're not worried about, oh, where do I go? Oh, how do I have to do this? It's, okay, get me in the drill. Okay, get me going. And I think the other important aspect of this for this Nebraska team too, Jay, is the competition aspect of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easy to say you should be competing in all your drills, but you coach, I've coached. It's hard to hold kids' attention when it's just a drill.
Yeah.
It's hard to get them to want to master the little things, to do 10 hook shots with this hand, to do 10 ladders for footwork. It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So to get them live competitive reps, I would think would be a good way to help them engage on a more consistent basis in practice, so you can really see, hey, who's not worried about what we're doing or how to go about their business? Who knows how to take care of business and is putting on a show when we're going, live reps?
Yeah, it's the hardest thing to do is get your attention. I think the best way to get somebody's attention is that bench. Was it Bobby Knight said that? That's
Right.
the best teacher, right? Because it's cold over there. But I think if you really are a competitor and you're trying to eat into people's minutes and earn some minutes, and you want to be, whether it's a byproduct of injury or a byproduct of lack of focus on whoever you're competing against, at the end of the day, you got to take advantage of your opportunity. So, yes, it's hard to hold their attention, but nobody should be lax in attention.
No.
We were 5-7 last year. Did we do some good things? Sure. Did we do some good things with a first year coach and kind of quarterback issues and trying to get into his culture? Sure. But we didn't even make a bowl game.
It's for people like me to look at it and say, yeah, Nebraska should be better. 5-7 in year one is a step or two ahead of where Matt Rule's year ones normally are.
Yeah.
It's fine for me to say that, but the only way that I am right in my prediction that Nebraska goes to a bowl game and has a better record is done by the people over there behind the scenes, right? The improvement doesn't just happen because guys like me say it looks like it's going to happen or it should happen. The improvement happens over there when they buy into the improvement needing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's got all the coaches talk about a player-led team, and you want them to be the coaches would probably, if you have really good leadership and a strong locker room, any coach, and this doesn't matter what sport, is it allows the coaches to do what they get paid to do. That's coach football and not have to babysit players, not having to motivate players, to constantly take away from what they do. Now, that's part of coaching, but if you're able to establish your culture and have guys that, quote unquote, buy in or, are doing the right things and with the right intentions, it makes your job easier as a coach, and you will win some games that normally you might have lost in the past, and you will be able to have consistency in your program. How does that affect the overall of the program? Well, when you have guys that, let's say rinse and repeat, those are the guys that you can go and recruit and say, you know what, he reminds me of an Austin Orman. He reminds me of a Jay Foreman, this body type. Maybe this is where they're from, or this coach, or just all that type of stuff. He fits in well into our locker room. Yes, he might need to get bigger and we might need to wait, but we know with his personality type and what he's been built of and what our players think of him, he will be a productive player. Maybe not in year one, but year in 2 or 3. That's how you're able to build a program. And that's why you need more of these guys or all of them to show up with the right mentality. Nobody is above getting better. Nobody is above getting coached hard. Nobody is above of being critiqued or having expectations 2 times higher than you had out for yourself or what it was in the past. Somebody like, you got to think of like, I'll go back to certain points of the season where I felt like, okay, I see, because people always ask me, what do I want to see from like Matt Rule team, right? And I always said this, I want to see towards the end of the season, all right, I see exactly what he was saying in the beginning. I want to see, like, I can see it, because to me, I call that tangible, where I can say, okay, I can reference that play, that series, that player, whatever, right? And I think about the play, I think about the game on the road at Illinois, right? Friday night, I think, right? And then Champaign is not.
My kid was born that day.
Then it was a great day, right? Right. We got to make him his nickname is Goal Line, because I'm referenced the goal line stand, right? Where Illinois kind of drives the ball, right? And some of it was self-inflicted by Nebraska. Your back's against the wall against Illinois, right? The Cinderella team from prior, right? They got you on the 4th down. And you always hear about, okay, these young guys that they have, they're coming, they're practicing well. You start to see them. Everybody started to try to forecast who's going to play 4 games. Well, then you start hearing about this Riley Van Poppel kid, right? And how he looks the part, didn't look out of place.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up and makes a huge stop on the goal line stand. Well, that's the guy that you want to see. That I was able to see. Okay, I see that. I see what Coach White is, coaching these guys. I see these guys not giving up. I see these guys able to continuously compete, right? Where you can see in reference maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like, oh yeah, that's a foregone conclusion. They would have scored on first down instead of getting stopped on first down. Then you see also maybe a play of like Marcus Washington, right, backed up. Okay, you want to be aggressive, you want to be a calculated aggression on your play calling. Boom, he hits a big play, and he probably started to come out of his shell. Unfortunately, got hurt on that play, where he had the big, explosive play to get the team after that backed up. So now you're starting to see some continuity, right? You're starting to see some complementary type of football, something that looks like football, right? Like, okay, we watch a good game, Ole Miss against Georgia. You're like, oh, we see some complementary football. We start to see some steps being put together, one, after another, and those are the things you want to see continuous. And then on a wider scale in the spring, and that has to do with some of the players that take a step forward and get better. It's not just being here and think you're grandfathered into a position. It's taking your position. It's owning your position. I always talked about like when they had these so-called quarterback competitions here from staffs before. The one thing people always ask me about Tommy Frazier, you can say whatever you want about Tommy. If it comes down to winning the game, that's the dude I'm taking today. Yeah, because I know what he's made of. He had a certain pride about owning his position. You get what I'm saying? Like it was an ego thing that he felt so confident in what he could bring to a team. He felt it was disrespectful for him to compete for it. Not that he wouldn't work for it. He knows what he would bring. You get what I'm saying? And so his expectations was everybody else have that same type of mentality.
It sounds kind of like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
In
a real way though.
Right.
Yeah.
In that Tommy Frazier sounds like a guy that wanted everyone else to meet his expectations, right? Because he knew he could be the best player on the field. And if your quarterback's best player on the field, you have a chance to be the best team on the field. Even, back in that, the era that you played in with, running backs maybe being more highly valued and you guys being built in the offensive line and defense and whatnot. But the quarterback's still always the figurehead. And I think about the competition between Tommy and Brooke.
Yeah.
All of that went down. I'm sure both those guys thought they deserved to be the starter. We're talented enough to do it and weren't going to back down from each other.
Right. Or you got to think.
Respectfully.
Right. Sure. But Tommy was one of your hardest workers. He's always was accountable and he always was there and you could depend on him. So if he is demanding all those things that I just said and he's not doing those, well, then that's when you don't have the credibility. Right. That's when you have guys that aren't willing to sell out for you. That's where you have the guys that maybe talk a lot but don't back it up. So that's really what they're trying to establish in this spring. Is see, who's made a step, who can they count on, and where they can add depth at every single position. Because as we saw last year, you're going to need everybody. And if you're only here just worried about yourself, that's what you should be in the spring because we're competing for spots. But you should. I'm going to say this before we go to break. The best teams operate individually, right? But you're doing it. You're thinking collectively, because I feel like when I showed up to the game, I wanted to play my best for me and my team and my family and everything else, right? But I'm doing it within the defense that we ran, led by Coach McBride. I'm not going out of my gap because I got to make a play or the play because it's about me. I'm making a play that I need to play.
When you see Nebraska players, we'll just zero in on linebackers, fill the wrong gap. Do you think it's because they're trying so hard to make a play, or do you think it's because they just don't know?
I think this year they played where they were pretty sound. I do. Overall, defensively, I felt like they were pretty sound.
Sure, years past that.
Right, years past, I felt like it was a little bit of both. I think you had some me guys that were all about themselves, and then you had some guys that were trying to try maybe a little bit too hard. And maybe it was a little bit of scheme matching up with skill set, and there's a variety of factors. But I think with these guys, I think you've seen where they were selfless in the seeing you guys making some plays where you're taking up 2 blocks and is allowing, Hartzog to come in and be an alley player, or you're allowing, Tommy Hill to really, set the edge. Why? Because you're able to do some things at the point of attack and backside that's allowed the defense, the mentality of the team defense being good. So, I think they just need to get better at all the things that they maybe didn't finish the season at, right? Tackling, right? How do you become a better tackling team? I think that's probably the biggest question. We got a text here from Culligan Jay. I'll answer here at the after the break. But then the question I get the most is, how can we be a better tackling team? I've thought about it, think about it on the break, and I'll probably tell you why. I'll tell you what I think, how we can be a better tackling team after we take a quick break. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through April 2nd is buy one, get one free on 8-ounce flat iron steaks. Limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the Bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket.
Here you go. Coffee's on me and my new BFF. I thought I was your best friend forever. BFF like best financial friend at Members Own Credit Union. Right now, they're offering $100 when you consolidate or transfer a loan or an existing credit card balance and meet requirements. Plus, you get great rates and free advice from a financial partner that will put you first. That sounds like a match made in heaven. Members Own Credit Union is the type of bestie you can count on. Get started today at memberzonecu.org/BFF. Limitations may apply. Equal housing opportunity.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner service check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you really need it. Call Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known, but what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to Old School with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Old School, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, 1040 O Street, Spring Ball Edition, which is obviously going to be going to get more and more play as players start to talk more, coaches start to talk more. But one of the things people ask me ever since the season ended was how we can tackle better. I just think it's one, people have to realize, myself included, you're playing against pretty good players, and they're on scholarship too. But I also think that I always think that we could always aim for perfection. I'm sure Coach White thinks the same. The reality is you can't ever get perfection, but it's always a great exercise to try to attain it. But I think the tackling always comes down to two things. One, you want to close the gap into whether it's a receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback, to where they can go. That your tackling percentage and your tackles for loss, your non-explosive run plays or winning plays in the run game will go up exponentially if you do that. I think missed tackles come from, just gap integrity and angles, and then just, running your feet. You got to run your feet on contact. As the season goes on, you're probably not doing as many live drills, and that's the one is because, soreness, injuries start to pile up, but that's just the way you have to, kind of taper off a little bit in practice. That's why the practice habits that I've been talking about in the spring are so important, because that's your foundation that you got to go back to. These little details right now are so important, because those are the details that you have to go back in your muscle memory and your mental bank to lean on when you need them most. And that's the ability to finish your season strong.
When you talk about tapering, how do you get yourself to maximize those reps? Because we talked last spring about just how many reps Ty Robinson was taking on the D-line. They just didn't have any healthy bodies. Yeah. And it was all him. This year, it seems like he can taper a little bit.
Right.
But how do you give a guy like that fewer reps while still making sure he's good on the details and has enough to set a good example for the guys that might be behind him?
Well, I mean, he's got stuff to work on, all right? You'd like to get him a little bit better,
So then why taper reps?
Well, I mean, you don't want to wear him out, right? But, I mean, I think, sometimes people think taper is like you just don't practice. I think you just make them more effective. Here's an example, right? So when we played in Buffalo, now, granted, there's only 53 guys on the team, but this is just take this example from Wade Phillips. He told us earlier in the season, listen, I'm going to make sure we're able to make the push to the playoffs because we need everybody fresh, right? So to cut back what we did in the weight room, he cut back some of the stuff we did. We had more sleep. But what he did in practice, right, it was almost like, like if you go to the zoo and you see him like feeding lions and they only give him a little bit and they have it on those like big poles and they kind of, tease him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what he would do, he said, listen, what we're going to do. We're going to wear our pads for individual, 9-on-7, and one day it might be blitz period. Then the next one would be like inside, outside run and one-on-one pass rush, then we're off. Then we're practicing. He says, I want the same rate of speed. I want the same intensity, but this is where we need to crank up the intensity at. What it did was we literally salivated for contact come Sunday. But then also another thing, he would do.
Didn't get your fix during the week or whatever.
Right. You want, I mean, that's, but we had veteran guys that kept everybody in line. We wanted to finish plays. We still rallied to the ball. Then he would do stuff in practice to where he got mad at me one time. I didn't know any different. Like, I'm a rookie. He wanted us he called it a jog practice, but it was the first 2 steps and then 2 steps explosive, then you're done. He was trying to save our legs. And when we stepped out there, boy, we just felt like we were in a different area. So when you think about somebody like Ty, but you got to think with Ty, he has a lot of improvement. But I saw it was, like Jason Peter and Grant Wisham, right? When they guys came back and they were graded out as first-round picks and they came back for their senior year, they're working on little things technique-wise that can help them and help us beat Tennessee or help us, right the wrong from the year before, right? Do they run their games a little bit more crisp? They're going against Aaron Taylor and those guys, so they're getting competition. So instead of maybe just say that they would normally get 10 reps against them, maybe it's the 6 reps that those guys are getting against each other, but it's full out and it's both beneficial. That's how you're able to taper some guys off, but you're still getting the same output and same results because it's game-like reps. Versus you saw sometimes where it looked like guys were just not even participating. And past staffs, guys were just off. Well, if you're off for a whole spring, you just lost a whole month of football activities, and now the pressure mounts because now you're in fall camp.
Because it's hard to get a month ahead, but it's easy to get a month behind, right?
And that month and behind is actually 2 or 3 months behind because you always got to forecast. Like when you look at the schedule, yes, you can kind of say, okay, we should beat them. This is going to be a tough game. Okay, this is a 50-50 game because it's on the road, and then we had just played 2 tough games. You could do all that, but you better have guessed and assumed everybody has gotten to like better. If you think Purdue is going to be the same, I don't care who went to the pros from Purdue or Illinois or Wisconsin or wherever, or Minnesota, losing some guys, right? You better think that they have guys that have been waiting for the same opportunity that I was waiting for as a freshman that are ready to step in and play. And they got some guys that you just never know who was hurt, right? Somebody would have been out the whole season, but he's a heck of a player. Now he's healthy and he's motivated and he's focused and he's got the opportunity to go from essentially sitting on the bench, being in a sweatsuit, to being the guy that he expected to be. And if you don't prepare for their best shot, you get surprised. And that's what happened. But, this is what spring ball is for, is to prepare for those certain things and see who reacts to adverse conditions, see who is able to compete when you're getting those dog days of spring, right? It's not the first, say, week and a half where everybody wants to hit, everybody wants to get, when you get into that middle of spring where, you got 6 or 7 hard practices left and the spring game is still 2.5 weeks away. That's where you really can separate yourself. That's what spring ball really does. Now, granted, you want to establish fundamentals, ball security, all that stuff. We want turnovers and all that. We want us to be physical and all that. But ultimately, that's the biggest thing about spring. You're able to refocus and reestablish yourself, but then also build on what you're doing as well. It's very unique process because I always say this: if you take Michigan with the same team that they had this year, and they played this year coming up, or same team they had last year and they played this year, it's still a different team.
Right.
Egos are different, opportunities are different. Some players could get better, some players could get worse. The teams are different. The coaching staff might be. The players could be the same, but it's still a different team. That's why it's so a hard process to win. That's why it's a very unique and a very small club of people that know how to really, really either win games or teach people how to win, because you could have the playbook to teach. You got to make sure you have the players that are willing to listen and then apply it. And that's the hardest thing about coaching. It is. We know it. It's the frustrating thing too.
Especially when you don't get the chance to pick your players, right? I mean, that's more rewarding, right? When you don't get the chance to pick them and you're forced to find ways to connect with them. Maybe they're not the biggest, tallest, fastest, strongest, but that's where I think I gained a lot of respect for a guy like David Brunt, what he did at Northwestern.
Yeah.
He didn't pick any of those guys. None of them picked him.
Yeah, he was there just to coach defense.
That's all he was there for. They stuck around. He found a way to connect to that team and brought them all the way to a bowl game.
Right.
They were predicted to go winless.
Yeah. We all said they were might win one game. Might. And they won, what, 8?
And they did.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it's interesting, too, the players you don't pick versus the ones you kind of do. Previous staff's guys versus my guys.
Right.
I liked how Matt Rule didn't make a difference. If
I'm
I'm the
here
coach,
to coach. Right.
They're my guys.
Yeah, you're here. You're a Nebraska guy until you prove yourself different. But if you prove yourself that you want to be here, and obviously within his kind of structure, then you're going to be here. And you've seen some guys flourish in there, right? You talk about Makaga Bear, where he was kind of essentially on the milk cart, right?
Yeah.
But look what he did. He reshaped his body. He embraced the offseason. He embraced the structure. And you saw him pop right up from the get-go.
Made a nice special teams tackle.
And then what did it do? Led to Colorado, and you saw him, play some big roles at times in the season. That's how you win it. I mean, one of the things people don't understand, when Urban Meyer took over, he said, these are all my players. These are Ohio State players. They're all Buckeyes. Now, I will tell you, man, that he tried to run my man Perry off, the linebacker, and he'll tell you he did. Because he's a bigger linebacker. He's about 6'4.5", big guy, not a fleet of foot. He ended up getting drafted, but Urban Meyer challenged him. He rose to the occasion. Now, was it a calculated challenge? Sure. But he wasn't ideally one of Urban's players. He made himself into it. He accepted the challenge. You saw a lot of guys do that in Nebraska. We've got a good Big Bang Hank, good text here. He said one of the things, like when you're playing against a team, and I talk about people improving and not knowing what you're going to be going against, is like a team like Minnesota, right? We talked about it last week, where PJ Fleck in Minnesota decided to, if you want to watch spring practice or get access to the team, it's for behind a paywall. Well, they're not having a spring game, so there's nothing to see. Now, I will tell you this, Big Bang Hank, if you saw their spring game last year, it was a practice inside of our
in the Hawks.
And there might have been 60 people there.
Maybe.
And then there was former players and alumni, and there was a couple families, and it looked like an hour and 15-minute practice. But the one thing that I picked up on them on Minnesota was that they were going to be physical, and they were going to try to run the ball, and it was a physical spring practice game. What they do is what they do. It's rinse and repeat. Running back, defensive line, safeties coming up and trying to meet you. But, by no means was it anything that Nebraska couldn't handle, as essentially I think Nebraska lost that game versus Minnesota won that game.
Right. I think we can say that about a few of Nebraska's games. Minnesota comes to mind. I think you can throw Michigan State, where Nebraska tripped over itself. Yeah. Michigan State just played better than Nebraska, but I don't know. Wisconsin.
Yeah, trick off.
Maryland.
Definitely tricked off. Right? Yeah.
Even Iowa to some degree, I'd throw there. That's 4 or 5 of the 7 losses.
Those are the ones that you concentrate on. Those are the ones that you reference. You definitely look about dealing with the expectation. I mean, they have a list of things to show the team in different coaching areas that we can take the spring ball and put them in these situations and see who actually learned from that. Or did they have their head in the sand? It's like, oh, I wasn't out there. It didn't affect me.
Right.
Here's a cool example before we go to break about it. So we had the Music City Miracle, and there was a hangover from that. Bruce DeHaven had to fall on the sword. I will tell you this. I don't think he's the one that called that onside kick. He got fired. And Danny Smith came in as a new special team coach. I love him to death. I love Danny. You see him, he's with Pittsburgh Steelers. He doesn't chew tobacco, doesn't drink, but he always has these big wads of gum. You should see him, and he has like pockets full of it, right? You know what the first play he did on special teams for us?
Well, you're not kidding about that gum.
Oh, legendary. And he just goes through,
Danny.
yeah. And he ran the Music City Miracle against us. And it was we were mad because it was our first. All he did was for the first 2 or 3 practices is we just did get off. He told us, he's like, I don't care if you're in the locker room hyping the crowd up. When you hit the line, I want you running. So that's all we worried about. So we were just like a sprint down there. Then he ran the thing on us, and then he cussed us out and showed us in the front of the whole team. But what I'm saying is it was a teaching moment, right? And so he applied it to which would be the pro equivalent to spring ball, which was mini camp and our veteran mini camp. And so we learned from it. So that's what they're probably trying to do right now. Hopefully everybody's embracing it.
Your boy Danny had shoulder surgery.
I know.
Dang.
Yeah.
First rotator cuff in 3 places. Get hit on the sideline.
Yeah. I texted him, man, you wasn't quick. Both my 2 favorite coaches got hemmed up. Danny got hemmed up, and Reggie Herring got hemmed up.
Not Reggie.
Yeah, he did.
Nah.
He was up. They were playing the Minnesota, and he tried to move out of the way, and he ran into the Gatorade thing. I said, man, your technique was bad. Would you had us taking on ISOs all the time? You had bad leverage, dude. He's like, what? He didn't fall off his feet, so he still had some good short area quickness, though. But anyways, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come in there. When we come back, I'm going to tell you a funny story about Danny Smith, man. This is when you always have a breakthrough. I love Danny Smith as a coach. I do. I love him as a human because when I got traded from Buffalo to Houston, we're still in contact till today because I trusted him as a coach. He was the special teams coach. I was a starting linebacker. I'll tell the story about him, but I'm going to tell you a funny story about Danny Smith for us dads out there. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with DP and J. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The Electrical Workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Banking should feel personal, not intimidating. At Western National Bank, we're about real connections. Founded by 2 ordinary guys with an extraordinary vision to know each and every customer personally. Fees, they suck. Avoid all fees with Western National Bank's Compass checking account. No monthly fees, no minimum balances, and get this, 5.12 APY on the first $1,000. Open your Compass checking account online in 5 minutes or less at mywmb.com. Experience the difference with Western National Bank. Visit mywmb.com. Member FDIC.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's specials through April 2nd is buy one, get one free on 8-ounce flat iron steaks. Limit 4 per visit. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locations on 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up.
Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah.
This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the Bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket.
Back to old school with DP and J on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. Quick segment here before we send you out to Ticket Weeknights. 6 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. pregame show. Derek Pearson, Coach Renee Saunders, Rico producing the show for the Supernovas. Pregame show at 8. First service at 9 out there in San Diego. We are jealous, even though it's a beautiful day here in Lincoln. They are definitely out there living the life up. But Danny Smith, I always say, like in the pros, it's very hard to have a relationship with a coach because one, the guys are just moving so long, and then two, you know, it's a business. You know, they're not there to be your friends. You're there to win games, and they're there to coach you to win, and that's what you want to do. You're on a week-to-week, day-to-day type of thing. Hired gun per se. You could lose a game, but as long as you handle your business, you have security to continue along the process of what it's called playing professional football at that time. But Danny Smith has always been somebody he's brutally honest. Which is great. He coaches you hard. He has a great mix of tough on you, fair, but he explained everything. Mm-hmm. It was weird, you know, because I was a starting linebacker, but I still played core special teams, right? He breathed so much confidence in me. It was crazy because we had just had the Music City Miracle. Special teams weren't very good. He came in and said, listen, just like we talked about Coach Rule and Urban Meyer, I don't need to go get other guys. You guys are good enough. You guys that need to do X, Y, and Z. I think I can get more out of you guys. That's a real coach. And so the funny story about Danny Smith, man, and he just moved to Buffalo. He was telling us, and we'd get together and, you know, he'd grill steaks. You know, we'd be out there just chopping it up at his house. This is funny, man. And Danny is about this small. And he coached at Georgia Tech. So I think he might have been on the staff when Nebraska played with Swilling and those guys, but he's just talking about it. You know, he's had some steaks and he's like, oh, this ain't a Nebraska steak. We're sitting there and his daughter was going on a date with this dude. And we just like, always be respectful or whatever. So he came over and hang out with the kid, Mr. Smith this, Mr. Smith that, you know, this Danny's just kind of, you know, he's real, like he's high energy. It's the gum. And he's just high energy, just, you know, hey, you need a Sprite, water, this, and this. So he's doing all this, right? So it's just Mr. Smith and hanging out. And he met him before. And so his wife left to go upstairs and make sure his daughter was getting ready. And it was a switch. He would have said, listen, man, I know what you're trying to do. He's like, I hear you bleepity bleep bleep, Mr. Smith, Mr. He said, listen. You see me and see all these dudes, you do something that you ain't supposed to do. Not only am I coming after you, they're coming after you. And I was like, damn. I was like, damn, Daddy. He flipped the switch quick like that. I was like, oh, you got a little bit of gangster in you, right? But here's the best part. His wife came back and it was like awkward silence. And she's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, nothing. We're just hanging out, man. He's like, are they going out to, you know, they ready to go? Gave his daughter a hug. See you later. And we talked about it in the locker room for like a week. It was the funniest thing ever.
Dan, you ever have to switch up on you like that? Anyone in your room?
He did on Reggie Durden because Reggie would talk in the third person. He called himself Dirty Durden. He's from Florida State, and Reggie, because we would do a kickoff return. Say it was supposed to be, we'd run it up like we do outside right. So we'd start out in the middle, go right. Reggie would go left. You know what I mean? So yeah, he tightened up Reggie for a while. So, anyways, good story time, good spring ball stuff like always. Onward and upward. It's another Tuesday. Got hump day tomorrow. And then, we'll finish out the week strong. But ticket weeknights. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you listening. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We are out.